Hello everybody. Today we will be analyzing an opinion-based essay, and we're focusing on task 2, independent writing. Let's read and analyze this essay prompt in detail. In 20 years, there will be fewer cars than there are today. Do you agree or disagree with the statement? So the examiner wants us to provide our personal opinion. Okay, he doesn't want us to talk about what other people think. Okay, because the question is, do you agree or disagree? So you must agree or disagree. First, let's look at the introduction paragraph. We need to write a background statement, which is a general trend. Let's look at this. It is expected by some individuals that the number of cars on the road will decrease significantly in 20 years' time. So what we need to do is to paraphrase this task. So the question is, in 20 years, right? I have paraphrased it by writing in 20 years' time. Next, there will be fewer cars than there are today. So who says this? Is it our personal opinion, or is it some experts believe so? Yeah, that's exactly what some experts believe. That's why we need to say that it is expected by some individuals that the number of cars on the road will decrease. So you see, I have paraphrased this one. All right. Next, the next sentence is called an outline, which basically means this is our essay plan. This essay will explore several reasons as to why I agree with this projection. Okay, so explore in this case, which means analyze. Here, look at this part. I agree with this projection, because the question is, do you agree or disagree? And the answer is, I agree with this projection. Projection here means prediction, because here it says in 20 years. Okay, so we're talking about the future event. We're talking about a future prediction, and that's why I say I agree with this projection. All right, now let's look at the first body paragraph. And the first sentence is called the topic sentence, and this is the main idea of the paragraph. Firstly, well-developed public transport is likely to discourage the general public from using private vehicles. So when you provide the first reason, make sure to use a linking device, which is firstly. You don't want to write first or first of all, because they are less formal, but firstly sounds very formal. So use the word firstly. And here is likely to, here means will probably. Okay, so don't use will. It's better to use is likely to do something, which means will perhaps, will probably do something. Okay, next we need to provide one specific example. So for example, there has been a significant increase over the last several decades in the number of Japanese commuters using bullet trains, which travel as rapidly as 320 kilometers per hour. So here we need to be very specific. I'm using the present perfect because the keywords are over the last several decades. Okay, so be very specific and explain where the situation takes place. Next, you must provide one supporting argument. As such, travelers have had the opportunity to avoid traffic congestion and paying for parking. They have been in favor of high-speed trains. We need to explain why travelers prefer bullet trains. Next, now let's focus on the prediction. Okay, so here, given the popularity of such a public transport, the number of people choosing it is likely to increase in the future, and this is most likely to reduce the number of private cars on the road. Okay, so the phrase given the popularity of, which basically means because of the popularity of. Okay, and then the focus on this phrase, and this is most likely to. Again, instead of writing and this will reduce, it's better to write and this is most likely to. Okay, which means like 95% or something. All right, now let's focus on the second body paragraph. Again, we need to write our topic sentence, which is the main idea of the paragraph. Secondly, as more education will be provided online, the need for using cars will decrease in the foreseeable future. Okay, so try to provide one very specific reason as to why the number of cars will decrease in the future. Now, the next sentence, we need to use comparison. Let's look at this. While students used to drive to colleges and universities in order to attend lessons several decades ago, many of them prefer to use computer equipment to engage in virtual lessons these days. Okay, so show this contrast, show the difference between the past situation and the present situation using the keyword while, because you're comparing. All right, now let's focus on the prediction. As this trend is likely to become more popular in the future, the number of students driving cars to campus will be far fewer in 2 decades' time than at present. Again here, as in this case means because, and then is likely to become, again, that means will probably become. Okay, and here, in the future, remember, always focus on the future because the question is, okay, in 20 years, which means 20 years from now. All right. Let's focus on the next body paragraph. Again, we need to write our topic sentence, which is the main idea of the paragraph. Finally, so firstly, secondly, and then finally, the popularity of online shopping will have a negative effect on the number of cars driven in the future. Okay, so again, we are very specific here. We're talking about online shopping. Now, let's talk about a global problem. There is a great deal of traffic congestion in major cities such as Tokyo, London, and Moscow. In this case, a great deal of means much. So you must remember that this phrase is used only for uncountable nouns. Next, the reason for this problem. One of the reasons for this is the large number of customers who drive to shops to obtain commodities. In this case, commodities means goods, products, items. Now let's talk about the solution to the problem. Okay. However, if they continue purchasing goods using electronic gadgets, such as computers and mobile phones, they will not have to drive to shopping malls in the future. Okay, so in this case, however, it means but, and I'm using a conditional clause. So if they continue, I'm using the first conditional. So, okay, and again, I'm talking about the future. So basically talk about the problem and explain why this problem exists, and then talk about a possible solution, okay, and explain that there will not be so many cars in the future. All right, and now we need to focus on the last paragraph, which is called a conclusion paragraph. So here we need to use a thesis restatement. So based on the aforementioned arguments, it can be predicted that the number of vehicles will fall in the years to come. So instead of writing in conclusion, you can use this phrase, based on the aforementioned arguments. In this case, aforementioned means those which have been mentioned above. Okay, it can be predicted that, because the question says in 20 years time, so we're trying to predict, so it can be predicted that, and it will fall, the expression in the years to come, that means in several years. And that's the end of this video explanation. I hope that you have understood how to write an opinion-based essay and how to talk about the things that will happen in the future. Thank you very much, and good luck with your TOEFL preparation.